The night shift at the Meridian Grand Hotel was supposed to be quiet, just the hum of air conditioning and the glow of an empty lobby. Alan Rhodes, the night auditor, thrived in the stillness of 2 in the morning. He never expected that silence to betray him. What unfolded next would shake his sense of reality. The analog clock on the wall ticked past 2:30 as Alan reviewed check-ins for the night. There were 29 guests, neatly accounted for. Then, a new name appeared in the digital registry, Mr. Thomas Hale, room 313. Alan frowned. No one had approached the desk. No keycard had been dispensed. Thinking it might be a system glitch, Alan checked the reservation logs. Hale's booking showed a timestamp just seconds earlier, with a valid credit card, driver's license, and a signature that matched every verification measure. The system had processed everything flawlessly, as if by invisible hands. Alan printed the check-in slip and stared at the faint signature, a looping script that read, Thomas Hale. The printer's mechanical were echoed louder than usual. He called the night security guard, Ramirez, to confirm whether anyone had entered. But the cameras showed nothing, only empty corridors. Unsettled, Alan decided to check room 313 himself. His footsteps echoed down the carpeted hallway as fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. The doorplate gleamed faintly under the dim light, the brass numbers cold against the silence. He knocked once, twice, no answer. Swiped a pass key and stepped inside. The room was immaculately made, bed untouched, towels neatly folded, a faint whiff of lavender still lingering from housekeeping. Yet the phone on the nightstand flashed, 3 missed calls, all marked from the front desk. Alan's heartbeat quickened. He returned to the front desk and checked call logs. No outgoing calls had been made. The time stamps matched the moments he had stood alone, reviewing the guest list. It was as if the room had reached out to him. Curiosity overrode fear. Alan printed Hale's profile again. This time, the photo field displayed a gray silhouette, no image attached, yet the file metadata suggested a live capture had been taken. Someone, or something, had filled out the form in real time. Ramirez joined him, skepticism plastered over his face. They decided to check the security footage together. Frame by frame, they rewound to the minutes before the name appeared in the system. The front doors had not opened once in nearly an hour. The air seemed to tighten around them. Just as Ramirez leaned closer to the screen, a static flicker rippled through the feed. A figure appeared for an instant, almost too brief to catch, a blurred shape crossing the lobby, head lowered, coat shimmering as if through heat waves. Then, it was gone. Alan replayed the footage over and over, freezing on the frame. The timestamp was exact, the same second room 313's reservation had been logged. Ramirez cursed softly. Alan whispered, "What the hell is that?" They both realized the figure's reflection showed no face. They rushed back to room 313. The hallway felt colder, the air denser, like static gathered on their skin. Opening the door again, they found the bathroom light flickering. A small puddle glistened by the entrance, yet the air smelled faintly of burnt circuitry. On the dresser lay an old-fashioned leather key pouch labeled 313, something the hotel hadn't used in more than a decade. Ramirez touched it and flinched. It was icy cold, despite the room's warmth. Alan opened the pouch and found a faded photo of a smiling couple taken decades earlier. The man in the photograph bore the name, Thomas Hale, written on the back in fountain pen ink. Yet the file's guest had listed a birth date matching someone who would be 28 today. The photo's timestamp showed 1978. Alan checked the hotel archives, his fingers trembling. There it was, room 313 had been sealed off for fire restoration after an incident in 1979. The blaze had claimed one victim, Thomas Hale, a traveling salesman. His signature on the ledger matched the one printed tonight. The realization hit Alan like a cold wave. His computer was showing a dead man, booked through a modern system that should have had no access to any handwritten files. Ramirez muttered something about electromagnetic interference, but his voice cracked mid-sentence. When they returned to the hallway, the sign for room 313 was gone. Only a smooth wall remained, freshly painted as though nothing had been there for years. Alan froze, staring at the blank space, unable to form words. Ramirez grabbed his arm, urging silence. He hurried back to the security office, but the footage from earlier was erased. The system had auto-purged, leaving only static noise across every channel. Alan's computer rebooted itself, looping endlessly on the login screen like it had never recorded a single entry that night. At dawn, the day manager arrived. Alan tried explaining, showing him autologs and timestamps, but everything had reverted, no record, no guest, no room 313 even listed in the property map. The room's existence had been digitally erased overnight. Sleep-deprived and shaken, Alan left for home. As he drove across the empty city, a static buzz emanated from his phone, even with no incoming calls. He turned it off, but the sound persisted, like a whisper threading through the white noise. That evening, Alan returned for another shift. The night seemed normal again, until the system pinged a new reservation. The guest's name flashed repeatedly until it stabilized. Thomas Hale, room 313. Alan gazed at the screen, throat tightening in disbelief. He stood frozen, pulse thundering in his ears. The system prompted, "Card issued, yes." A printer clattered beside him, pushing out a flawless keycard encoded with 313. He could smell ozone again, the same burnt static trace from before. Ramirez was nowhere to be found that night, his locker was empty. Hotel management claimed he'd never been scheduled, and no records proved he had ever worked there. Alan couldn't understand how every trace of the man's employment had disappeared. Terrified, Alan reviewed older footage again. In the background of one clip, he saw Ramirez standing next to him, but in the reflection of a nearby glass panel, Alan was alone. The double image sent a ripple of nausea through his chest. Out of desperation, Alan called the front desk line from the very room phone labeled 313, the one he had kept locked in a storage cabinet for safety. It rang 5 times, then connected with a single phrase, "Check me in, again." The voice was his own. Panicked, Alan disconnected the power, throwing switches off one by one. The lobby darkened into deep shadow. Yet through the glass entry doors, he saw a man-shaped blur standing in the rain, just beyond the streetlight, unmoving. The figure lifted its head, and lightning illuminated its face. It was half-burned, the ruin of a smile twisted across pale skin. Alan stumbled backward, colliding with the counter as every monitor in the lobby flashed the words, "Guest checked in." He ran to the staff break room, dialing emergency services. The call failed, static hissing in his ear. The screen displayed a call duration of precisely 0 seconds, even though he'd heard the line connect. The building's clocks all froze at 313. Alan fled the building, gasping in the cold drizzle. Behind him, the hotel's neon sign sputtered and dimmed, one letter shorting out. It no longer read, Meridian Grand, now it flickered, Meridian, and the missing letter hung in darkness, mocking him. He stopped in the parking lot, realizing the buzzing in his ears had returned, not from his phone, but from everywhere around him. Streetlights hummed in unison, each pulse syncing with his heartbeat. The world itself seemed to glitch, vibrating subtly out of phase. Alan looked back once more, and for a split second, the hotel facade rippled, windows shifted, signs reversed, geometry bent sideways like a film frame melting in a projector. Room 313 reappeared in a brief shimmer, then dissolved again. Police cruiser pulled into the lot minutes later, lights cutting through fog. When they entered with Alan, the building appeared perfectly ordinary. But in the guest ledger behind the desk, the top line read, "Hale, Thomas, checked out at 3:13 a.m. Alan collapsed against the counter, unable to speak. The officers found the hall leading toward room 313 freshly painted, but damp to the touch as if recently sealed. No one could explain the chemical burn smell that lingered in the air. Weeks passed, and Alan resigned. But sometimes, when he drives past the old hotel, his car radio loses signal exactly at the same point on the road. A faint hotel bell rings through the speaker, followed by static whispering his own name. Locals say the Meridian Grand stands on fractured ground, where electricity and memory overlap. Every few years, stories resurface about phantom guests signing in with impossible names. The ledger never lies, they say, but it doesn't always tell the living truth. No one has stayed in room 313 since that night. Yet cleaners sometimes find towels damp, phones off hook, and faint handprints on the mirrors. Whatever arrived that night wanted a room, not a witness, and in some way, the hotel still keeps him checked in.